Hello one and all, welcome to a Galaxy Man Show interview show. So basically today's guest is named Michaela Berger. She is a actress and performer, a singer, a truly incredible singer. So I'm going to show you her YouTube channel and then I'm going to invite Michaela onto the live broadcast. So here is Michaela's YouTube channel for everyone to see. There it is, and I will add Michaela into the live now. Just waiting for Michaela to come in.
Hello.
Hello, Michaela. Pleased to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Okay. So can you explain a bit about yourself, and then I'll get into the questions with you?
Yes, so I'm a full-time, well, I was until COVID-19, but I'm a full-time performer
Yeah.
and I travel Australia and the world with mostly with my own shows, but I also work for other theatre companies and some children's theatre companies as well, which is great. Patch Theatre and Windmill Theatre. And I do some stuff with State Opera in Australia. So I
Oh,
kind of do all the things that most performers do, which is we try and do everything we can to try and get as much work as we can, basically.
awesome. So basically, we're getting to the questions. For my first question, who inspired you to get into performing?
I'd have to say my mother. We grew up in Coober Pedy in the middle of the desert, and there was nothing there with performing arts or anything, but my mum had a really big passion for the arts and singing, and she used to sing to us all the time. And the only VHS tapes that we had were The Wizard of Oz and The Sound of Music.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of grew up watching, that's what I thought TV was. Um, and then mum would drive us down the dirt road for 12 hours to come to Adelaide, which was the closest town, to go to see the big shows like Starlight Express and all the 80s big 80s musicals. So she's the one that introduced my sisters and I to the arts. But both of my parents have just been so supportive the whole way through. So I put it to them that I'm still doing it, because they just kept saying, do what you love, and they said, don't get a day job, don't get a backup job. Yeah, so it was mainly because of them.
Awesome. For my next question, uh, what experiences have you learnt while performing for others?
Oh, I mean, a lot. I mean, do you mean what lessons have I learned?
Yeah,
Like,
what lessons have you learnt? Yeah.
well, the biggest lesson is to have fun, actually, because when you take it too seriously, there were a few years when I was taking it all very seriously, and I was touring the world with one of my shows, and I was stressed, like I was feeling a lot of stress all the time, and because I do a lot of the producing of things as well, like the admin side. And so but then something switched and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I not just having fun? Because it's such a fun job. So when that switched, I'd learned a really big lesson on stage and off stage to try and enjoy myself more, and enjoy it for what it is, because it does become a job. There is a point where it does become a job, and the days when you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't even get out of bed, and then you have to get on stage and perform in front of 500 people.
Yeah.
There it's a struggle, because you internally you're like half asleep, and externally you're switched on and going for it. So yeah, I've learned that lesson, and also probably a lesson about trusting as well, in the industry as well as on stage, just trusting that everything's going to be fine, and that there's and if something does go wrong, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
Awesome. So for my third question, how long have you been performing for? And what new projects do you have upcoming after all this pandemic stuff that has been going around?
After
Yeah.
so I my first professional show was when I was 9,
Oh, wow.
and I'm now 38. So that's 29 years. Yeah. So it's been quite a long journey. After COVID, you've seen me on Sequence Sessions. I've started
Yeah.
an online streaming channel thing, and I'm hoping to continue that because I'm really enjoying it. So
Well, you're
I'll
doing such an incredible job with it, by the way. So
thank you.
a lot of great
Thanks.
people involved with it, and while
Thank you.
always in these kind of times, we need someone like yourself and other creators like yourself to help people along in these times. So I just want to say thank you so much.
Oh,
It,
my pleasure.
yeah.
My pleasure.
Uh,
And
and
yeah, and
so
then also all the other projects that got cancelled, they're hoping to try and reschedule. Some of them can't reschedule because they've already got their program set for 2021.
oh, wow.
And yeah, so it's just an unfolding thing. What's going to happen, we're not sure yet.
Yeah. And so for my fourth question, uh, if anyone wants to get into performing, what advice would you give that person?
I would say to decide if you really want such a different life
Mm-hmm.
and to decide if you're okay with uncertainty because the biggest thing in the performing arts world, as we're seeing now with the COVID thing, is that the people who are slipping through the cracks, it's the performing arts industry because it's such an unconventional setup. Our our incomes are so random, and I would just say if you want a house and a car and 3.2.3 children, if you want a kind of said normal society life, it might not be the profession for you, although you can do it still. But it's just like we've made a lot of sacrifices, my husband and I, because I'm a performer. We chose a very, very cheap unit to live in so that we didn't have to stress about paying a big rent every week. And we've got one car between us, which is fine, which is normal, really. But there's a lot of things. It's just deciding if you really want it, you can. I believe that anyone can do it. It's just deciding, do you what life do you want, basically? And if you want a life in the performing arts, it's so exciting and so fantastic. It's just you really need to be ready to make a few little sacrifices that you see all your friends who are in sort of 9 to 5 see office jobs and normal jobs. I don't like using the word normal because what is normal, but what is seen as normal in our society, and you'll see them all buying houses and this and that, and you'll be, oh, but then you just keep reminding yourself that you're doing what you love. So that'd be my little bit of advice. And also to be prepared to work. It doesn't come on a silver platter. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
For
you.
my fifth question, fifth and final question, uh, just going to get it up for a minute. Here it is. So, in this time of all this pandemic stuff, what's next for your music? What do you want out of your music after all this stuff?
I'm hoping to create a new show, and I think the pandemic will definitely have an effect on it because of the isolation and having a chance to kind of slow down. I think it's going to impact, I'm hoping that it will impact the world in quite a big way, that people will slow down and realize that there's more than being busy to life. And I think musically, it's going to have an impact on me personally, possibly because I'll have a bit more time to write. Although Sequence Sessions is me keeping me very busy, but I am trying to now, once Sequence Sessions is kind of rolling along, to try and spend a few hours a day, maybe starting to write again and see what comes of it.
Nice. And you mentioned about see what life brings. With this question, I actually have for you, Michaela. Um, what would your younger self say if your younger self saw you now?
If they saw me, I think they'd be like, "Oh, you're doing what you love. Yay. I didn't think you'd be able to do that." I think they'd probably be happy.
Awesome. Well, can I just say thank you so much, Michaela, for joining my live Instagram show. It means so much. Everyone, go support Michaela Berger. She's truly amazing, great performer, and yeah. So thank you so much for joining.
Thanks so much for having me.